Jesus says in verse 25. Then he said to them, O foolish ones and slow of heart to believe in all that the prophets have spoken. Ought not the Christ to have suffered these things and to enter into his glory? Jesus says, you guys are being foolish and slow of heart because you don't trust the Scriptures. And I'm sure some of you in here today, you're like, oh, it's the Bible. Who knows? See, I didn't grow up in a Christian family, so I'm not one of the, for people who grew up in a Christian home, they have to make that transition where the faith of their parents becomes the faith of their own. And that's not an easy transition for a while. But I came to the Bible as a skeptic. And unlike most people who come to the Bible as a skeptic, I actually decided that you can't say that something is wrong if you've never actually read it. I remember when I was growing up, I lived on the East Coast. Now, on the West Coast, you guys had the Grateful Dead. It's like the Dead was the band. I'm not from the West Coast, so on the East Coast, there was a group that was called Fish, with a PH. And I had friends, and they all loved Fish. Oh, I want to see Fish. And I'd say, no, I don't like it. I never heard Fish before. But, someone's got to be contrarian. All your friends are like, yeah, we're going to go to see a Fish concert, So I'm like, nah, I don't like it. And so sure enough, the day happened when I walked into a buddy's house and Fish was on and I didn't know it. And I was just like, all of a sudden I got my head bobbed in. I'm like, dude, what are you listening to? This is awesome, And they were like, I thought you didn't like Fish. With a PH. And of course, you know what I said? I don't. Because you got to save face, right? Long story short, I've seen a lot of Fish concerts in my day since then. I bring up this personal example because for so many people that say the Bible's not true, they've never actually read it. Or they say, yeah, I've read it. I'm like, really? I ask people all the time, like, oh, I don't believe the Bible's true. I'm like, well, you ever read it? Sure. Really? Did you read it? The whole thing? Well. Yeah. I'm like, well, so what's it about? Have you guys had that conversation before? It's very rare to meet someone who doesn't agree with the Bible, who's actually read it from cover to cover. And actually, not just read it, like what their eyes scanned it, but actually thought about what's being said. I know for me, I read the Bible as a skeptic and I got radically saved. Because when you read, as Jesus said, all the things the prophets said about the coming one, people who lived hundreds of years, listen, even if they lived 50 years before Jesus, it's still radical. The prophetic quality of the Word of God is absolutely challenging. If you're here as a skeptic, I challenge you, be at least an intellectually honest skeptic. Be a skeptic with knowledge, rather than being someone like me who said, oh, I don't like it, I don't believe it. You've never actually looked at it. And listen, do it for yourself. Read it for yourself. We have Bibles, take them home with you. Because don't believe, oh, so-and-so said this. You know how much time does the pastor spend? Well, the pastor said this. And I'm just like, I don't know where you got that from. Because we've all had Christian people in our lives who gave us some sort of idea of what Christianity was. It's a whole other thing when you realize that the Jesus of the Scriptures is a lot different than the Jesus that you heard about growing up. Or the Jesus that uncle who every time you saw him slammed a Bible verse down your throat and told you you're going to hell unless you get right with Jesus. And some people think that that's honoring God. They don't even know people's name. They walk up to you, they beat you over the head with the Bible.